How's everybody doing? Good. My name is Nick. I am the pastor here. We believe church should be relevant, simple, and real. Want to welcome all those watching online with us also. Man, today is an awesome day as we talk about what is next for River Lake, where we're going, what you can expect. And we've got a few tweaks and changes to kind of what's happening. One of those things, though, is before we jump into the message is kind of how we communicate some of the areas that we're growing into and we're looking into. And so one of the things we're doing is we've got 3 positions. We've got more than that, but 3 we're going to put up there right now that we're looking at trying to find some people. And one of them is a youth leader. We're looking for a volunteer coordinator and a discipleship director. And so if you are like, man, I think I could help in that. I've got some time. I want to volunteer. I want to jump in. We would love to talk to you about that. There are different positions. You can find them all online at riverlakechurch.com. They'll have descriptions, time requirements, and things like that. But we're excited. God is continuing to grow our church, and we're trying to take those next steps the best that we possibly can. And so anyway, if you feel like you're supposed to kind of take a next step and have a conversation about that, we would love to talk to you about that. So with that said, I'm going to pray. And we're going to jump into today. It's so exciting. So let's pray. We're going to go from there. God, thank you so much for what you're doing in the life of this church. I thank you for the mission and the vision. I thank you for what we're about to do. And I just pray that you'd be in this room, that you would help motivate us, inspire us to take next steps. And God, help us move beyond just prayer into something much, much deeper. God, we love you. We thank you so much. Amen. All right. Well, hey, I have talked before about growing up, and I've been very transparent that when I was a kid, I was not a good student, okay? So if you weren't a good student, raise your hand just really quickly. If you're like, yeah, you are my people, okay? That's all I'm going to say. Like, you are my kind of people. I can relate to you. If you were a good student, if you're like, I got all my assignments done, I don't relate to you, okay? I probably don't like you, honestly. I'm just kidding. Anyway, no, I was not a good student. I didn't resonate with that. I was the kid that was either on the bus doing the homework, or in our high school, they would sit in the hallways and just do your homework. Like sometimes I just wouldn't even go into the class until I was done. I'd just sit out there and be like, Nick, isn't class started? Yeah, but they're just going to kick me right back out, so it don't matter. That was me. That's kind of how I did things. That's what happened. And I got into this cycle that, again, if you were like me, you could relate. If you weren't, show up next week. We'll have something for you. But I would do this thing where I would ignore a test and I would procrastinate. Any other procrastinators in here? Love to procrastinate. Again, my people, okay? So I would procrastinate, kind of do all that stuff. And then the night before, it was like, oh, man, I got a test. And then I would do what only I knew how to do. I would just sit there and be like, okay, Jesus, I need help, okay? You know the answers because you're God, okay? So just, if you could give those to me, that'd be great, And then I would pray, and it was a crazy thing. It'd be like, God, give me an A. And then I'd looked at the test and I'm like, you know what? Actually, God, a D would work, okay? Like, I don't know anything. Let me just lower my standards a little bit right now. A D would be money, all right? And I would do this. I would have this cycle, and it would come about because I loved contra more than studying, okay? Up, down, left, right, B, A, start. That's the code right there that got you 30 lives, and I know. I can't tell you anything about biology. I know contra codes, though. So anyway, I loved that. And that was my prayer life, though. And so what happened was that really became this pattern that I actually grew close to Jesus because I wasn't a good student. So if you're here today and you're like, I'm not good at school, that's okay. You'll be good with Jesus, all right? That's what I'm telling you right here today. If you're a parent and your kid's like, man, my kid's not good at school, that's okay. They're probably close to Jesus. They're praying more than the kids that got it together, all right? So I would pray over and over again, and what happened was they weren't effective prayers, to be honest, okay? Because I would be like, I'd still fail, or I get a D. And then I would pray again because I wouldn't learn my lesson. I kept waiting for God to change my circumstances and my situation, and I missed it. I would just do this cycle where all throughout middle school and really kind of into high school at some seasons in my life where I would just procrastinate, and then be like, God, help me. God, fix it. God, I need you to come into my world right now. And for all of you people that you were really good students, you're like, man, that's crazy. But here's what I know in this room. We still do that with prayer, don't we? Oh, we don't do it with tests. No, we have different kinds of tests. Some of you do that with a credit card bill every month, right? Like every month you get the bill and you're like, oh, Jesus, please. You know, like it's thicker than it is long. Like that's always a problem. Or you get 2, you're like, bill 1 of 2, and you're like, oh no. You know, like, and you do that. You spend money all month and you're like, oh, Jesus, I need you. I ran out of money again. I ran out. Let the credit card bill be not to, thank you, Jesus. You know, and then you go do the same thing over and over again. Or maybe it's not credit card bill. Maybe it's the scale, okay? Get a little personal right now, but you know, maybe it's the scale all of a sudden. Like, you know, like you eat, you weigh yourself once a week and you kind of do that whole thing. And then you get up that Saturday morning or Sunday morning or whatever day it is. And you're like, oh my goodness. Okay, God, if you could just like, I don't know what I need, but just not wait. So just like, you know, oh, made it again. Thank you, Jesus. You know, and the whole deal. Maybe you do it with your spouse. Maybe you do it with your job. That you've got weekly or quarterly meetings. And you've got these things, you've got these reports due, and you procrastinate. And again, all of a sudden, you wait, and you just kind of invoke God, kind of call God into it, and wait for God to kind of show up and save the day. But here's what I know. When we pray like that, we miss the purpose. That when that becomes our mode of prayer, if your prayer is like mine, and we still do that as adults, we never grow up in our prayer life, our prayers are ineffective and they have no power. And what happened in me, and maybe it happened in you, is you get to this point where you kind of quit praying. You kind of treat prayer like a lucky rabbit's foot, like, oh, I'm going to walk into this, and, you know, just God kind of help me, but your prayer life isn't really what you think it should be. It really isn't what you probably know it needs to be. And maybe it's because, and it's where we're going to go for this whole series, maybe it's because you're praying the wrong way. Maybe it's because you're not praying the way that you were intended. See, here is the description of how my prayers went at a young age. They were personal. See, all of my prayers, if I was being honest, were about 3 people. Me, myself, and if I was really narcissistic, I. That was it. God help me. God bless me. God fix me. God take care of this. God, she's kind of cute. I'd like to date her. You know, God kind of do that whole, they were all about me. They were all about what I wanted, and they were all personal. All of my prayers were about me. I rarely prayed about somebody else. They were also external. We talked about this a few weeks ago, that isn't it true our temptation is to ask God to fix the problem? God, change my circumstances. Give me a better job. Take care of my boss. He's a jerk. She's a jerk. Give me more money. Heal my issues. God, help me lose weight. God, help me figure out how to deal with my kids. My kids are terrible. My spouse, my parents. It's always external. All of our prayers. Isn't it true that sometimes we have seasons where all of our prayers are about external? And see, when you have what I will call immature, simplistic prayers, what happens is they're always about somebody else because it's always somebody else's problems and never yours. I never once, when I was a kid, I might be very different. I might have actually not got kicked out of college, okay? If I would have ever prayed the prayer, God, you know what, would you just change my heart so that I study more? I always prayed for an A. I never prayed for an attitude. See, our temptation with prayers is that God change my circumstances. And I believe God changes circumstances. I believe we should pray for those things. But at the end of the day, if they're always external, we miss part of what God wants to do in our life. We miss the purpose of prayer and the power that comes with it. And so that was what I did. The third thing was they were temporal. It was always about right now. It was always a reaction. It was always, oh, I forgot the test. I forgot the paper. I forgot my homework. I forgot the whole thing. God, fix it now. As a young person, I wasn't praying for eternal things. That wasn't my mindset. It was all about physical stuff. It was all about stuff right now. It was all about a reaction. God, help me, bless me, protect me, take care of me. It was never about, God, would you just help me be a blessing to that person and help me have an impact on their eternal destiny. God, help them see you. God, I just want to pray for the pastors and those persecuted around the world right now. Those were not my prayers. I didn't pray from an eternal perspective. I prayed from a temporal perspective. And if it was really bad, it was transactional. Ultimately, what happened was a lot of my prayers became transactional because, and maybe you're more spiritual than me, but here were some of my prayers, especially at a young age, be like, God, listen, if you just let me get by with this one A, if you kind of let me pass this class or whatever, God, I will never do that again. Anybody else make a transaction with God? Bunch of liars, okay? No, you all have. Stop it. No, it's always this like, God, if you just get me, I'll never talk to them again. I'll cut that person out of my life. I'll go, listen, I'll go to church every week if you just help me here. I'll pray every day. I'll read my Bible every day. I'll stop looking at that. I'll stop drinking that. I'll stop. God, if you could just help me. It's a transaction. I was treating God like a genie, trading somehow. God, I'll pray every day. I'll do whatever. Listen, God, I need you to show up. And here's the deal. These are the characteristics of what I will call simplistic, basic, and often immature prayers. And here's what I want you to see. There's nothing wrong with some of those. It's like candy. There's nothing wrong with candy. I love candy. It's kind of a problem, okay? Just so we're clear. But the problem is when candy becomes your diet, when it becomes all that you do, you lose the power. You become overweight, lethargic, and it doesn't work like you're supposed to. The problem for many of us is we are not praying the way that God intended us to. And it's killing our walk with God. See, maybe you never thought about it, but actually there's a right way. There's even somewhat of a wrong way to pray. Maybe you grew up in a church that's like, listen, just pray whatever you want. Like, just say it out loud. God knows. God doesn't care what you say. I would argue that. Because here's where we're going to go for the series, and here's what I believe, that the prayers that we pray become the lives that we live. The prayers that you pray ultimately become the life that you live. And if all of your prayers are about you, here's what's going to happen. You will never get past you. Some of you here today, you keep wondering why everybody else is the problem, and you never look in the mirror. Because at the end of the day, all your prayers are about you, and God fix me, and God fix this, and give me more stuff, and give me more money, and help me do this. And you have no perspective outside of yourself. And then you wonder, God, where are you? And where's my power? And where's my authority? Why can't I get past this? Why can't I get over this? We mess this up. But I want you to understand that the prayers that we pray, that becomes the life we live. So let me just ask you a question. If you were to look at the prayers in the last week, what you prayed about, who are you becoming? If you're becoming what you pray for, are you becoming more like Christ? Are you becoming more narcissistic? Are you becoming more like what God wants you to be? Are you becoming more like what you want you to be? Because the problem is, for many of us, there's a disconnect in our world. And so there is this story, there's this narrative. It starts in Luke chapter 11. We're going to pick it up and end it in Matthew chapter 6. But it says this, so fascinating to me. It says this, that one day Jesus was praying in a certain place. When he finished, one of his disciples said to him, Lord, teach us to pray, just as John taught his disciples to pray. I find that so fascinating. Because the disciples are following Jesus, and all of a sudden, I think they recognize Jesus walks with a different swagger. He walks with a different authority. That he walks and he's like, oh yeah, when he prays, he's like, healed. And everybody's like, whoa. I mean, everybody says that they're going to pray for him. Everybody says God can heal him. This dude shows up and he's like, done. Come back to life. Healed. Fixed. See. Done. And the disciples watch him and watch his prayers and watch his authority over life. And then all of a sudden, I believe, because they have an inside look, they've got a behind-the-scenes look. I believe they start to notice that not only is his outward appearance, not only is his external world about what he does different, but you know what? He prays different. That in his quiet time alone, what he talks about to his heavenly Father is different than what they talked about. And they see that, and they start to make a connection with that. And so at some point in time, and we don't quite know where on the journey they do this, one of the disciples says, hey, Jesus, here's the deal. Could you teach us to pray like you do? We want to walk in freedom. We want to walk in grace. We want to walk in authority. And we want to walk in such a way that when we pray, things change. Now, you would assume maybe that Jesus would look at him and be like, oh, don't worry about it. Just pray whatever you pray. Pray whatever is in your heart. Pray whatever comes to your mind. Just sit down and just kind of pour your heart out to God and do whatever. And listen, I'm not even saying those things are bad. I think there are times you should do that. But that's not what he says. He says in Matthew chapter 6, which is a correlating passage, and we're going to look at both of them. In Matthew chapter 6, he starts and he says this, this then is how you should pray. Meaning, if there is a way that you should pray, there probably is a way that you should not pray. That there's a correlating opposite way that you should avoid. And in the next few verses, we, I believe, see a model, not something to be memorized. We see a model that in it has a few principles. In fact, I believe in this prayer, we're going to spend the next several weeks unpacking it. It's got 5 verses, and there are 5 things that are central to what it looks like to have an effective private prayer life that leads to an effective public ministry. And we're all called to that. What happens is we mess up the behind the scenes in the prayer because we've been told, just pour your heart out, just pray, whatever. And Jesus gives us a course correction, says, no, let me just tell you, when you pray, this is the model, not to be memorized. And if you've got a card, every one of you should have a card on your seat that says clouds and dirts on it. I want you to take this home with you. But again, if you grew up in church, you probably prayed this prayer together. You probably maybe even memorized it, maybe a different translation, maybe a different version of it, because there's a couple different versions of it. But here's what it says. He says this, our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Next verse. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's the line for me. That changes everything for me. Because Jesus doesn't say, listen, here's how to pray. Look at what you want. Look down. Look at inward. And God, let it be here on earth as I see in me. Let me be the defining moment. Let me be, no, it says, here's the deal. You look to heaven. You look up. This is the posture and the starting point of real effective prayer, is to look at heaven and figure out where there's a disconnect. And we start with the posture of God. Here's the deal. God, would you allow heaven to crash into earth? Would you allow heaven to come here? That is the starting point of this prayer. It's all upward. And then he goes on and he says, give us today our daily bread and forgive us our debts as we also have forgiven our debtors. Next verse. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. See, in this prayer, there's clouds and dirt. There is the clouds in heaven to say, no. I'm going to focus up here. I'm going to look up. But at the same time, there's dirt. I'm going to reach down. And that is the posture of what I believe a Christian should do. The posture is to look up in prayer and reach down and help. To provide for those who cannot, not to look down at somebody, but to look up at heaven and to reach down. Clouds, dirt. The problem is we've missed that. The problem is we've messed that order up, and we start with ourselves, we start with the dirt, we start with our problems, we start with the issues, we start with us. We've missed it. Some of you are like just a few tweaks in your prayer life away from radical change, and you don't even know it. That what we're going to be talking about over the next several weeks in this series, I really believe can change your life and ultimately can change the city. If we just latch on to it. That it's crazy to say, but maybe how you pray, maybe the prayers that you pray really do become the life that you live. And what's lacking in you is not the public thing that you want to do, but the private way in which you pray. And so we're walking through this, but I believe every one of them has two elements. Every verse, everything that we're going to unpack has two elements. And today, I just want to spend our time talking about what prayer really is, what God intended to be. Number one is this. Prayer is an invitation for God to come down. Maybe you've never thought about that, but prayer really is, all it is an invitation. It's you sitting or standing in a circumstance and saying, God, I need you. I need you, God. I'm inviting you into my world. I'm inviting you, joked up there. I'm inviting you into my situation. God, I'm struggling right now. God, I need you. It's an invitation. And much like you invite people into your world, much like you invite people to your house, much like you invite them, here's the deal. When we pray, what we're really saying is, God, I'm inviting you into my life. God, I need you. And we're looking up at the clouds. It's what's important. And some of you, you're praying, and really you want the results of prayer without the presence of God. You're really trying to use God as a genie, and you wonder why there's no power and authority. Because you're really not looking up to God. You're really just wanting the results. You're like, God, just fix it. No, I really don't want to talk to you too much. I really don't want to be close to you. Really, I don't want to know you. I don't want to go to church. I don't want to do that. I don't want to read my Bible. No, God, just fix the results. I was like, that's not really what prayer is. Prayer is an invitation. It's an acknowledgement that you can't do it, is an invitation to the creator of the heavens and the earth to come into your world and partner with you on what's next. See, Paul writes it like this. He's got this passage, and it's so powerful. He says this, Philippians chapter 4. He says, do not be anxious about anything, which I love that because every time I read that, I just think, oh, that's easy for him to say, okay? You know, he didn't have text messages and cell phones and computers, and he didn't have teenagers, okay? He didn't understand that. Like, you know, we live in a crazy world. He says, be anxious for nothing, but in every situation, by prayer and petition. All petition is praying over and over and over again. That's all it is. It's a fancy word to say, no, I didn't just sit back and go, thoughts and prayers, and move on. I stayed in position there. I'm petitioning God over and over and over again. God, I need you. With thanksgiving, present your requests to God. See, there's a difference between demands and requests, isn't there? I have a 3-year-old kid. Every now and then, he confuses the two. And I have to course correct his attitude, okay? If you've got kids, you know what I'm talking about, right? Because every now and then, my 3-year-old will walk up and he'll look at me and be like, Dad, may I have a drink? And I'm like, yes, you can. Every now and then, he'll look at me and be like, Dad, give me. I'm like, oh, let's talk, son. Because here's the deal. There's a difference, right? Sometimes we come to God with demands, and we sit back and go, God, fix it. And that's not what prayer is. Prayer is an invitation for God. It's a request for God. God, I need you. I'm trusting in you. I'm leaning in you. Fix this, if you will. Because here's what he says. Next verse. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding. All understanding. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to line up. Will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Here's what I want you to see. Don't miss this. Prayer was never meant for it to be a genie that you call on God to fix your problems and then move on. Prayer was meant to be an invitation for God's presence, for him to protect you from everything else. In Psalms it says this, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. It doesn't say, though I started to walk into it, but I prayed, and God fixed it. And now it's good. There's all lollipops and sunshine and unicorns, and it's great. Like, no. It says, here's the deal. I'm walking down this center lane. I'm walking through this valley, and it's terrible. There's death everywhere. There's shadows everywhere. There's darkness everywhere, but I'm fine. Why? God protects my heart and my mind. Some of you, you're stuck in a valley right now. You're walking through a really, really dark time. You're walking through a really, really hard time. You got an addiction, a struggle, a marriage problem, a financial problem. You got a relational problem. You've got an issue with somebody. You got a job. I don't know what it is. You're walking, and it feels like a valley of the shadow of death. Here's the deal. God does not promise to fix your circumstances. He absolutely promises to protect your heart and mind. He doesn't necessarily want to remove you from the problem. He absolutely wants to show up and let you feel his presence, though. And he says, listen, here's the deal. Prayer is an invitation for God to show up and protect you, to guard you. And it will not make sense. And you can walk through it, and everybody else will look at you and go, how are they okay? How is that? How are they handling that? Why are they just walking through that just so fine? I would be a mess. I would be crumbling. They're doing so well. They're handling their broken marriage so well. They're handling their broken finance. So how are they doing that? And they're going, God's protecting me. I got peace. No, my circumstances are terrible, but I got peace. God's protecting and guarding my heart from anxiety, from pain. See, the moment you have anxiety, listen, all of us struggle with it. The moment you have pain, listen, prayer is the moment you pause. You don't tell your friend on Facebook. You don't tweet it out. You don't ask somebody else. No, prayer is that moment you pause and go, okay, God, I'm about to walk through something. I'd love for you to change it, but if you don't, I need you to protect me. And we miss that. Prayer is an invitation for God to come down. But it's an obligation. It's an obligation on us to lift others up. It's an obligation. It's not just an invitation, it's obligation. Too often, we pray for people, don't we? And we feel no obligation. You just look on Facebook and something bad happens, and what do people push? They sit back on their phones or on their computers, and they're like, oh, thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. Are you going to do anything? No, but I mean, yes, I will text out thoughts and prayers 14 times. Thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. Have you ever just ask for something and be like, oh, I'll pray for you. Have you ever just wanted to smack that person? Nope, just me? Okay, cool. No, that's awesome. Thanks for leaving me up here. No, listen, we're real here. I'm like, I don't need your prayers. I need your provision. I need you to help me. Appreciate the prayers. Thank you. I expect a little bit more. It's an obligation. We miss this. When you pray for somebody, it should move you to provide for them. It is about impossible to pray for something over and over and over and over again and not allow it, not have it move your heart to the point you want to do something about it. The problem with the church is we have too many people that say out thoughts and prayers, and I'm not saying you don't. You might be like, God bless them, God help them. You send out a quick 15-second prayer, but what do? You just move on, and it's not really had time to move your heart. So nothing really has changed. It's thoughts and prayers. James writes in his book, Thoughts and Prayers, worthless. Keep them, he says. It's the craziest story. He says this: suppose a brother or sister was without clothes and daily food. I want to pause real quick and say this. You don't have to suppose. We have it. You don't have to suppose. Like for James, I don't know where he's living at right now, probably in Jerusalem because he was head of the church, but here's the deal. You don't have to imagine it. We have it in Glasgow. There are parts of our city that we don't have to imagine it. They don't have clothes. They don't have food. They don't have beds. Statistically, 1 in 5 children go to bed hungry every night. You don't have to suppose it. It's a reality. It's a function, and you don't have to go far. It's right over there, a couple miles. You don't have to suppose. I just want you to know. No, this is Glasgow. But James is telling this story, and he goes, listen, I want you to think about Glasgow. Don't suppose. Know that there's a whole bunch of kids who are going to bed hungry every night and not enough clothes. Some of them not enough beds. He goes on. He says this: if one of you says to them, go in peace, keep warm and well fed, I'll be praying for you, brother. I'll be praying for you. Oh, that must be terrible. I'll be praying for you. Oh, thoughts and prayers. I'm going to tweet it out. I'll help you. Side note, all social justice warriors, a tweet has never fixed anything in the history of humanity, ever. No one's ever been like, oh, that tweet changed everything. Never happened. Action changes things. He says, suppose one of them says, go in peace, keep warm and well fed, but does nothing about their physical needs. What good is it? He says, your faith is worthless. Your religion is worthless. Your right in the church, worthless. It's nothing. It's garbage. And here's the deal. Don't miss this. Here's what he wants you to do about their physical needs. Here's a problem. I'm going to say something that might push you a little bit, might kind of shock you, but it's River Lake, so welcome if you're a guest. We are way too spiritual and not nearly enough physical. We are way too sit in our beautiful little building, sit in our building, whole deal, come to church every week, raise our hands, sing our songs, pray our prayer. What are you going to do during the week? Nothing. James says that's worthless. If your prayers and your religion do not move you to provide not just with spiritual needs, but physical needs, he's like, what good is it? It's worthless. It's done. It amounts to nothing. It's worthless. Read the whole passage. I'm summarizing it. He comes down hard on these people. Your prayers should move you. The prayers you pray ultimately will become the life that you live. The problem is the church has stayed way too long in their spiritual realm and have not moved out of it into the physical realm. Do you know why this building is a plain, ugly metal building? It's okay. You can laugh at that. I designed it. It's fine. All right? Do you know why it's not a beautiful cathedral? Do you know why we didn't spend a whole bunch of money on this beautiful building? Because I don't want you to be here long. You come in for an hour and a half every week and then go and do something. I don't want you to come here and be like, man, this place is great. I want you to come here and understand I'm commissioning you to go out there. Because ministry doesn't happen always in here. It happens out there. And for far too long, the church has been worthless. Worshiping together every week, praying, singing, doing a whole bunch of stuff, and then they go on about their business throughout the world. James is like, you wonder why there's no authority, there's no power in your world. It's because your faith and your religion is worthless. We have missed it. We have missed the point of why we come together to worship. It is not for you to feel good. It is for you to be commissioned. Because every one of us has a ministry. And I cannot stand here and pray for people and do nothing about it. It just won't let me. So with that said, I want to tell you where we're going. As a church, we have really tried to lead the way in generosity in this city. It really is the heart. It's how we started this church. It's so incredibly important to us. In fact, we had an initiative that we did for about 3 years called Let Hope In, and we gave away, I think, over $100,000 in 3 years. It's crazy what we gave away to the city, because at the end of the day, we're going to walk the walk after we talk the talk. I'm not interested in just standing here and motivating you and like, yeah, what'd you do? We gave away $50 a coupon, you know. I'm like, that's not cool for me. We will lead the way in generosity. We will lead the way in doing things for our city. Because again, the prayers we pray will lead to the life we live. And here's the deal. And so we did that, and I just feel like for whatever reason, our team, we got together, we've been praying about it for a while, and we feel like that season's over. We're not going to be doing that this year. We've got some other stuff planned up, but I want to tell you what's next. Because as I read that prayer, as I started walking through as it is in heaven, it forced me to look up. It forced me to look to the clouds and go, okay, God, what do you got? Where are we at? What's going on? What does heaven look like? And what I see in heaven is no one hungry and no one not clothed. Everyone's got a bed. And that bothers me. It should bother you. And so what we've done is we found an organization. If you know us, a lot of times we're just kind of like, hey, we're going to do it on our own. And yet I found an organization. It's called Reads and Feeds. It's an organization led by a few people who are just killing it. And at the end of the day, what they do is this. They looked at a problem and they said, listen, we're not going to wait for the church. We're just going to fix it ourselves. And they got a bus, and they go out every summer, every day. Is it every day? Every day. And then on the weekends, they do it on Friday, cover them. They make sure that kids have food. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of kids that don't have food. A lot of kids that don't have a bed to sleep in. A lot of kids that don't have clothing that they need. They don't have books that they need to read. And so here's the deal. They started this ministry called Reads and Feeds. And what they do is they make sure kids have food. Many of you in here, you don't know what it's like not to know where your next meal's coming from. Like, I'm not trying to say that you're flush with cash, but at the end of the day, you've never sat around and thought, I don't know if I can eat tomorrow. That's not your concern. It's a different level. And so what we're doing is we have agreed to partner with them and kind of walk with them, because I believe we need to be a part of the solution. I believe that we need to step in and kind of do that we can't just sit back and go, oh yeah, I see that problem over there. Let's pray for them, thoughts and prayers. Go do it, yay. We've been commissioned to be the solution. That's our role. And yeah, we're going to pray. We're going to provide too. And so I want to let you know today, as you walk out of here today, you see the video of what they do. It's incredible. You're going to get this handout. It's got clouds and dirt on it. It's got 5 initiatives on it that we're going to do this summer. We're going to kill it at all of them. That's how we roll. And I want to let you know what they are, because I want to let you know where we're going. And I want to ask you to start praying. Can't do anything today because I don't want you to do anything. I don't want you to fix the itch. I want you to stay in position and pray for it every single day this next week. But I want to tell you where we're going to go. Number 1 is this. We're going to have 100 volunteers. We're looking for 100 volunteers to kind of step in and serve on some capacity. You can serve on the bus, ride that thing right there. You can pack, help them pack on Thursday nights. You can do a whole bunch of different things. You can serve in a variety of different ways in the morning and at night, depending on what it is. So really, there should be like no excuse. And we're looking for some people to step in and go, listen, I'll take a day. I'll take one day. I'll take a slot. I'll take a Thursday night once this weekend. I'm going to pray about it, but I'm going to do something with it. We're looking for 100 positions to be filled this summer. That's 100. Number 2 is this. We're going to look for 200 people go on a walk. They're doing this really creative thing, and I love experiences. Again, if you hang out here, we try to create experiences for you. They've got a walk on May 11th. Here's what they're asking you to do. They're going to ask you to skip dinner Friday. I know. You'll be fine, okay? You can have a Snickers the next morning. It'll be cool, all right? Skip dinner on Friday, May 10th. Get up the next morning. Meet somewhere at 8 o'clock, and then walk a mile. Walk a mile. No scooters allowed. Sorry. Walk a mile in their shoes, literally. and then they're going to give you pancakes, all right? So you'd be fine, all right? Seriously, you'd be great. But man, I would just love to see 200 of us. Church is about 500 something now. I'd love to see 200 of us in just red shirts, just show up. And not just pray for them, but to stand in the gap. To take a stand and say, no, listen, we can't fix everything, but we can fix this thing. We can't solve all the problems, but we can pick one thing and be a solution for it. And so I'm just challenging every single person in here. You can all walk for the most part. And I know you can skip a meal. For me, it'll be good for me, I promise. I'll be like, no one's going to notice it. All right? But we took 200 people for that. Number 3 is this. Can you guess the number? It's 300. Good job. 300 books. We have an Amazon Prime account set up with a list. It's how many books we need for each thing, so that we're not having the same book over and over and over again. And at the end of the day, some of these kids, they get behind reading because it's the summer and they don't have parents that buy them books. They can't afford books. I mean, again, they can't afford meals. They're just looking for books. And so I love the fact that they get with them, they read to them, and they give them books so that they can read at home. Literacy is a huge issue for breaking the cycle of poverty. And so we're looking over the summer to have people step in and buy 300 books for this so the kids have books to read. It's incredible to see a kid's face light up when they get a book. Number 4 is this, 400 food items. We're just going to try to collect 400 food items. We'll have a spot out there for you to come in and drop them off. Only thing I've been told is not corn. I don't know what it is about corn. Don't bring corn, okay? So no corn. I don't know. That was came up like 5 times, okay? But we're going to collect 400 food items. Again, that's the whole point. We're going to give them food. But the last one is this. Can anybody guess the number for the last one? No, 5,000. I've tricked you. Yeah, 5,000. Here's what we're going to do. I've committed $5,000 of the church's money to match $5,000 of your money. So the total of $10,000 to help provide food for these families. And I'm excited about that. I really am. I think we can do that. And here's how I think we can do that. We sat down and we asked them, $10 feeds a family. $10. I don't know about your family. I don't know how that works. I've got 7 people in my family. I'm like, $10 buys me dinner. I don't know about the rest of them, but they figured it out. They're so good with their money. They're really smart with it. $10 feeds a family. And so what we're going to do, how we're going to raise that money is a really different, creative way. And I want to make sure that every single person in here, wherever you're at, you feel like you can help. Because what I know is in this room, we got people that can write big checks, and we got people that are going, I don't know. So here's what we're going to do. Every single week for the rest of summer, during the mornings, all $10 bills will go towards the reads and feeds. Because I want you to know, you may not be able to write a big check, but if you can give $10, I want you to understand you're feeding a family. And while that doesn't change everything for that family, it means the world to them. For that family, they get to eat that night. They get to eat that day. And I want everyone to be able to contribute, everyone to be able to say, no, I'm a part of this. Yeah, I'm praying for them, but I'm going to step into this. I'm going to step in, not just with my thoughts and prayers, but with my actions I'm going to help provide. $10 a week is nothing. For all of you coffee drinkers at Starbucks, just get a black coffee like an adult, okay? Seriously, don't get your caramel frappe, rainbow sprinkled, unicorn flying garbage, all right? That'll save you $40 right there. It's ridiculous. Just get a black coffee like an adult and just, it'll be fine, okay? That's all you got to do. Just $10 a week. And here's the deal. Here's what I know. If I can find 50 families who step in and say, listen, I'm going to do $10 for 10 weeks, we get there. $10 for 10 weeks. And again, some of you can do more. Some of you can't do that. Some of you are like, Nick, I can do $10 once. That's great. It's why we're doing the $10 challenge. Because I want everybody to understand, man, I can be a part of this. I can help. Listen, I can pray, but we're all in different positions, and we can all provide differently, but $10 feeds a family. Can you imagine $10 feeding a family, and then we get to write a check for $10,000? We're going to change this city. I've told you before, the vision of this church is to flip this town upside down, not to just have great Sunday morning services. Hopefully they're great, okay? That's a starting point. But at the end of the day, my vision, my hope is to change everything. Because at the end of the day, Jesus changes everything. When he is the center, everything's changed. Everything is better. Everything is fixed. And today is not an invitation. It's an obligation. You're commissioned to be a part of it, to understand that there is something bigger to live for your life than right here, than right now, than your Frappuccino sprinkle-covered unicorn coffee. To sacrifice a little bit and understand that you are in a unique position to provide, not just pray. To offer families hope, not just some thoughts. To be the difference. To be who God called us to be. But it starts with prayer. There's a verse I want to put back up here and we're going to wrap it up. It says this, James, he's wrapping it up after he got done yelling at everybody, telling their faith was worthless. And he says this, he's talking about prayer. Elijah was a human being, even as we are. He prayed earnestly that it would not rain, and it did not rain on the land for 3.5 years. I don't know how good you think your prayer life is. His is better. That's all I'm saying, all right? And if you can do that, I need to talk to you. Just on a side note, all right? Next verse. And again, he prayed, and the heavens gave rain, and the earth produces crops. Don't miss this. Heavens, earth, clouds, dirt. We need to look to heaven and look up and reach down and be willing to get our hands dirty, be willing to get in some grime, be willing to hang out with some people that we might not necessarily associate with, be willing to ruin our reputation so that we can help right some wrongs in our city. It's clouds and dirt. That is the posture of the Christian. To look up and reach down and understand that you are commissioned. You are called not to be on the sidelines, not to just attend, but to be equipped for work. To understand that you're not to mimic a prayer, but to model it and go out and have an effective ministry. And this is the starting point, not the ending point, the starting point of our church, of what we will do. Because I firmly believe we're going to flip this town upside down. One meal, one prayer, one person, one donation, 1 week at a time. That is our mission. That is our vision. And my prayer for you is that you would join us. My call to you is to be a part of something bigger than you. To quit praying simplistic, narcissistic prayers about me, myself, and I, and start to walk into God's blessing, authority, and power as you pray for something greater than what's in front of you. So this week, all I want you to do is 2 things. Pray. Take this card, put it in your fridge, put it in your car, put it wherever. I just want you to pray it every single day. Start to pray differently. Start to pray a little bit differently. We're going to unpack it over the next several weeks. Maybe start to memorize it. And then 2, start to pray about what God's called you to do in this. Maybe it's the 10 for 10. Maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's less than that. Maybe it's like, man, you're going to save because you're in a different financial situation. Like you're just going to do $10 once. That's okay. All of us are in different positions. Maybe it's get books. Maybe it's volunteer. I don't know what it is. I just know we have a unique opportunity to change this city and, more importantly, change the lives of some people that need it. Would y'all stand with me? I'm excited. I love what God's doing in this church. I can't wait to see what he does over the next several weeks. I can't wait to get on that bus for me and go serve people. I can't wait to start to live out the ministry that God's called me to live out here in this city. I hope, I pray you join us too. Let's pray. God, thank you so much. Move in our hearts. Move through the men and women who stand here right now. Put conviction on their heart to not just pray, but to provide. To be the hands and the feet of Jesus. To move in our hearts and minds to the point that we move into position. The position that this city needs. We love you. We thank you so much that we get to do this. Amen. Hey, have a great week. We'll see you next Sunday.